It's time. I can't believe it's here, but it's here. The leaves have been turning, the air has changed, and while there are still some warm days ahead, it definitely feels like fall is upon us. Hi you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Charlotte. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Today we're gonna go over my 10, I was gonna say 10, but I think there might be 11 or 12 perfect fall fragrances. These literally smell like fall in a bottle, if that's possible. I would love to know what you think down below. What is fall in a bottle for you? Is it specific notes? Is it a specific vibe? Is it a feeling? Is it a memory, olfactive memory? For me, I'm definitely thinking of something a little bit warm, spicy, maybe more woody, a little bit boozy, warm and cozy and inviting. These are the fragrances that I picture when I'm wearing a scarf, a light jacket, when I'm seeing those colored leaves start falling down to the ground, feeling their crunch beneath my feet, that still warm sun juxtaposed with that crisp air. That is what these fragrances remind me of, and that's what these fragrances I find smell great with. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you like this topic, don't forget to like to let me know. I can't wait to share these with you. So to be honest, one of the first fragrances I think of is Angel Muse EDT, but this fragrance is discontinued, you guys, so I don't want to shine too much of a light on it. I am still going to mention that this is one of my favorite fall fragrances. The EDP is beautiful as well. This one just has passion fruit, that extra passion fruit in the opening, which I find really pretty and interesting and intriguing and kind of different, because otherwise it's definitely a very woody, vetiver dominant fragrance. It has a gourmand sort of touch, but I wouldn't say it's gourmand per se. This definitely gives me fall vibes. I love getting a whiff of this on my scarf. This just projects really beautifully in the cold weather, especially when it's starting to get cold. And of course, all of these will be linked down below, but this one might be harder to find. I will try to find it and link it down below. But if you can find this, whether new or even maybe used, this is one of the best for fall, if you ask me. And I would say EDP or EDT. I really like the EDT because of that unique passion fruit opening that I just find unique, just because of the way it's juxtaposed with the chocolate Nutella vetiver patchouli. But if you can only find the EDP, go for it. I would love to have the EDP as well. So that is a, what do you call it? Oh God, what's the word? I'm like gonna find it and have to put it in the video. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like a notable mention, oh God, I feel so silly right now. I'm forgetting this word. But anyway, if you have it already, definitely pull it out right now. I think it's amazing for fall. If you don't have it and you would like to get it, we can still find it out there. So the next fragrance I'm going to share with you is another one that I love taking out for the fall time. You know what, you guys? I think this might be getting discontinued as well. I don't know if it's the EDT that's getting discontinued or the EDP, but either way, I know I've seen it in stores. It's still in stores, so I'm gonna mention it anyway. This is one of my favorite fragrances for fall. This is Versace Cristal Noir, the Eau de Toilette. This is the Eau de Toilette version, which is a little bit more of a woody, powdery, violet, figgy fragrance. There's something about this. I know a lot of people like this for the summer. Personally, I get fall vibes with this. And in fact, I rarely wear it in other times of the year. You totally could. I actually think this is quite a versatile fragrance that you could wear year round, but this is a fragrance that I really like to take out in the fall time. Definitely feels a little bit darker, sultrier, and I'm really excited to wear this in the fall time. Editing self here, checking in here, because I wanted to talk about the numerous formulations of this fragrance. I'm not sure if others are also confused about this, but there seems to be quite a bit of variability in notes among all the different formulations, and I myself have become confused. Now, I've come to find after a little bit of research that I have an older formulation of the Eau de Toilette, which has different notes than the Eau de Toilette shown on Fragrantica, which is also the Eau de Toilette formulation that came in 2021, I believe. This fragrance I have is a tester bottle, so I actually have the note breakdown directly on the bottle itself. So as you can see right over here at the top, it has cardamom, pepper, and ginger. In the mid, it has gardenia, peony, and orange flower, and in the base, it has amber, sandalwood, and musk. This is obviously different from the EDT formulation listed on Fragrantica, and it actually resembles more the EDP, but without the coconut. I will note that it does make sense to me in that I seem to get a fusion of the two other formulations. I get a soapy gardenia, definitely a warm spiciness at the top from the ginger and cardamom. I find the pepper to be quite tame, but I also get a violet powderiness, which is a note listed in the newer EDT. It looks like my eau de toilette resembles the EDP version a bit more, though it's honestly hard to say, as I do detect a slight fruity fig note and prominent violets. I don't necessarily get the white florals or any frangipani, which is listed in the newer EDT. So suffice to say, I'm still a little bit confused, but I think it's interesting to note how some of these very different notes can sometimes kind of smell similar. So for example, the fig can very closely resemble coconut. You have the creamy, soapy gardenia, which can also kind of resemble coconut in some ways. I do think that this composition here listed makes sense to my nose, except for I feel like I really do get some violets in there. That said, it definitely would lend to a more soapy sort of gardenia. Definitely get that unmistakable sandalwood base. I do get some spiciness at the top with the ginger and cardamom. It's very smooth, however. There's nothing sharp in it. And yeah, it's constantly playing between a powderiness and a more soapy creaminess. I'd love to know what you think of the two different formulations. If you have an opinion, if you've smelled them, what your thoughts are on those differences. From what I hear, the way you can tell if you have an older or newer formulation is by looking at the alcohol content. So apparently the older formulation, which is what I have, has 77% alcohol content, which you can see here, and the newer formulation has 78% alcohol. So why new formulation? Some ingredients were banned or discontinued, if you will, and so as a result they changed the formula. This is a pretty common thing that happens in the perfume world. This happens every few years, like a change in regulation with the ingredients and chemicals used. It inevitably leads to some new formulations. Sometimes it can actually change the scent profile, though I imagine that they try to keep that to a minimum. Yeah, those are my thoughts on this. Like I said, I feel like I get a fusion of the EDT and the EDP, which is both confusing but also kind of confirms my initial feelings, which like before I found out about all the different formulations, I was like, wow, I really feel like I get a fusion of the EDT and the EDP notes. And I partly think that that's just because a lot of those notes can mimic each other. Maybe not the spiciness. The spiciness, there you go. That's something that I definitely get in this. So it makes sense to me that I have the older formulation of the EDT because I do get that warm spiciness in the top. Out of these notes, specifically to my nose, I would say I get the cardamom ginger, less so the pepper. I definitely get the amber sandalwood musks, and I don't know about the peony and orange flower, but I definitely get a sort of like soapy gardenia. And I still also get a little bit of fruitiness at the top. So, you know, this is an enigma for me, but if you have an answer or you have similar feelings, let's discuss in the comments. Next up, we have one of my favorite fragrances to wear on cold, chilly mornings when I'm having a coffee, and this is Dolce & Gabbana, the only one. I don't know why, I really associate this with like work from home, coffee time in the morning, basically with myself fragrances. I really love this fragrance for the fall time. I have heard some people compare it to Black Opium, but honestly I think the only reason it's compared is because of the coffee note. But other than that, you guys, it's so different from Black Opium. I love Black Opium, but Black Opium is definitely more white floral. It's definitely more gourmand to me. This is not, even though it has some gourmand notes, it doesn't feel like a gourmand fragrance. It's definitely more powdery, purple flower, violet floral to me. The coffee in here is definitely a bitter coffee note, but it's laced with a beautiful caramel, which definitely gives it a sweeter undertone. But other than that, I get a lot of violets in this fragrance, which is right away makes me not be able to compare it to Black Opium. There's definitely none of that purple violet flower powderiness in Black Opium. Black Opium is definitely all about the white florals and coffee and patchouli for me. And definitely, like I said, a lot more gourmand, which, you know, that's great if you want something gourmand. This also has a slight sharpness to it that I think can be off-putting to some people. This was not a love at first sniff for me. Yeah, it has a sharpness to it that can be also very perfumey, which is why I would not call this really a gourmand fragrance, even though it's often categorized as a gourmand fragrance and it has a gourmand note of caramel. It's definitely more a powdery, caramel tinged coffee violet fragrance in my opinion. I really enjoy it on those mornings when I'm just literally drinking my coffee. I love getting whiffs of this and it inspires me to tackle the day. So that's Dolce & Gabbana, The Only One. Next up, we have a boozy, sweet, honeyed rum scent with some subtle, smooth spices in the blend. And this is by Ellis Brooklyn. This is Bee. And this, I would say, is quite gourmand. I definitely get that prominent honey in here, but it's equally spicy from that cinnamon, which I just love and definitely reminds me of the fall time. It does have a beautiful dose of vanilla in here as well, which definitely makes it a little bit more creamy and sweet. And just all around, I think this is a really beautiful fragrance. I will say some people find some people find the honey note to be slightly, I think, animalic, which would make sense. It can be animalic, but personally I find it a lot more dominant in the sweet vanillic gourmand notes and accords. And the honey is dominant though. It's a beautiful, dark, ambery honey. Definitely gives you warm, fall vibes. It feels cozy, it feels inviting, it feels sultry, and it's just beautiful. It definitely reminds me of the fall time, even right down to the bottle, this dark yellow bottle. I just think this is beautiful for the fall and I can't wait to be getting some more wear out of this fall. Next we have a very unisex, very subtly sweet and smoky woody vanilla fragrance. This is Van Cleef and Arpels Bois Doré. This also has an almond note in it as well, but the almond with the teak wood and the mineral notes really give a more sort of cool weather, crisp wood. It definitely get teak wood, by the way. If you've smelled teak wood, it really is teak wood in here. First of all, this is a very smooth fragrance. It's super well rounded. There's no sharp edges. It's a very handsome fragrance, whether you're a man or a woman. It feels very elegant and refined. There is some tobacco in here as well. It's a very smooth tobacco with the tonka bean. It's just, there's something slightly almost gourmand, a dark kind of way because of those notes. It's just beautiful. And when I say smoky, it's nothing to, like, there's not even a smoky accord listed, I don't think. It feels very subtly smoky, like just enough for it to be sultry and intriguing. It's beautiful. It also very strongly evokes fall for me, so I can't wait to wear this in the fall time by Van Cleef & Arpels. This is Bois Doré. Next up, we have a fragrance by Kayali, and this is a release that came out last year by the house. This is Invite Only Amber 23, and this is definitely fall in a bottle to me. This is a sweet ambery vanilla with some tobacco. It has a little bit of sour cherry at the top as well, and yes, their new fragrance, Cherry Love Fest Burning Cherry Love Fest, is even more cherry dominant. You still do get a little bit of that cherry in this one. By the way, yes, I did get a small travel size of Love Fest Burning Cherry, and I will let you know what I think of it. But in the meantime, I think this one is a perfect fall fragrance, fall and winter, but definitely fall time. It has some sweet gourmand touches like honey and sour cherry and chocolate and hazelnut. It also has some spiciness with some cinnamon in there, which I definitely get. It's very well rounded, it's very rich, it's very warm, it's definitely unisex. This is a very sort of sweet, amber, warm, spicy, woody fragrance. There are many fragrances in this genre that have been done before, but this is a very approachable one, I feel, and it's very unisex. So it's definitely a little bit sweeter than some other amber woody fragrances that would fit this sort of genre, which makes it maybe a little bit more approachable and more feminine. It definitely has some gourmand touches in there without screaming gourmand. It still has that rich, dark tobacco oud woody base. So I get a lot of that tobacco, I get a lot of that cinnamon and a rich ambery vanilla base. And it's definitely amazing for the fall. That's Invite Only Amber 23 by Kayali. Next up, we have a fragrance that literally smells like fall. Wait, there's another one that literally smells like fall. This is one of those. This is a warm, sweet, spiced apple gourmand vanilla sort of fragrance. There's actually no apple in this, but it totally evokes spiced apples to me. This is Angel's Chair by Kilian. And yeah, I mean, honestly, it really does smell like there's apple in here. It smells like very sweet, warm, spiced apples, cooked apples, you know, in the fall time. It definitely has a beautiful vanilla base in this fragrance, perfectly unisex, and just all around an everyday or date night staple for the fall time. You could wear this in the winter as well, but definitely starting in the fall, it's just perfect. This has a cognac top note, which initially I was very apprehensive about because I don't like too much booze in my fragrance, but it really is not intimidating at all. It just adds a beautiful, subtle, boozy quality. It's still very sweet. Cognac is a little sweet, right? It's still very dark, ambery, sweet. It's very woody. It has a lot of cinnamon in here. If you love cinnamon, this is a great choice. If you don't love cinnamon, you might not like that about it. That cinnamon oak combo definitely smells like the spiced apples, like I said. It has a praline base note, which definitely gives a very creamy gourmand dry down to the fragrance, and all around just a beautiful, delicious gourmand fragrance for the fall time. That's Angel's Chair by Kilian. Next up, we have a fragrance that literally smells like fall. I know I've said that before about some of these, but this really does smell literally like fall, maybe even too literally like fall for some people. I love it. Some people think it's better served as a candle scent, which they do make a candle of. So if you're one of those people, get the candle. But this is Skylar Fall Cashmere. And this right away reminds me of like a fall potpourri. Just like those, man, how do you say it without sounding bad? Like decaying old flowers and leaves? No, but in the best way, in the fall way, in the way with you have like fresh, brisk air, some of the warm sun shining through the trees, the leaves are falling down, you smell them, but you smell a mix of the fresh leaves, but mainly you're getting those dry, crunchy leaves under your feet. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that. But it also has a lot of spices. It has some cinnamon. I think it has some cardamom in here as well. So yeah, very warm, spicy. It's not cardamom, it's cloves. So it has cloves and cinnamon in here in a great mix, because I don't love cloves, but now that I think about it, I think that's what's giving me that fall vibe, along with the cinnamon, of course. It has some almond and ginger to add a very warm, spicy element as well. And the base is just beautiful. You've got some musk, you have some sandalwood, some vanilla and amber. I just love this fragrance. I will also say that this is one of the stronger fragrances that I've tried by Skylar. Their fragrances from, I only have 3, but they tend to be a little bit more airy and casual. This one is packing a little bit more of a punch. That's Fall Cashmere by Skylar. Another fragrance that I just love for the fall time, and actually I exclusively wear in the fall time, is quite an affordable fragrance, and honestly one of the most underrated, best affordable gems out there. This is by Lalique. This is Le Parfum by Lalique. This is a beautiful aromatic vanilla. I find this quite unique. It has a very strong bay leaf opening that juxtaposed with that sweet, dense vanilla is just, it's just beautiful. I love it. It really cuts into the sweetness, adds a more unique sort of touch and more intrigue to the fragrance. If you ask me, definitely gives more of a warm feeling to the fragrance as well. This also has some almond and some powdery heliotrope in the mid with a bit of jasmine, but I mainly get that sweet vanilla tonka with the bay leaf. And I just love it. I really love this fragrance. I love smelling this on my scarves. Like once I've worn it and then I put, you know, my scarf away and then I get it back and I smell it. It's just, it smells so much like fall to me. It reminds me of fall and I can't wait to wear this fall. Like I said, one of the most, I would say it's one of the best all-time affordable fragrances in my collection. I find it sorely underrated, to be honest, even though it did have a little bit of a boom on YouTube a couple years ago. I feel like a lot of people decluttered this fragrance, and this is just one of those fragrances that I don't think I'd ever declutter. Though you guys know I'm not a big declutterer to begin with, but I am going to be decluttering soon, you guys. It's just come to the point where I have to. But this is a fragrance I would not, and that I highly, highly recommend. I also think that for the price, like everything is great about it. You have this amazing fragrance, the longevity is great. In my opinion, the packaging is beautiful and luxe and doesn't feel cheap in any kind of way. And this is just beautiful. Definitely you could wear it fall and winter, but I specifically really like it for the fall time, and that's when it vibes the best for me. That's Lalique le Parfum. Next, we have another slightly gourmand woody vanilla fragrance. This is Vanilla Woods by the Seven Virtues. This is a beautiful quintessential fall vanilla fragrance. It smells so good. I definitely get more of that woody caramel vibe to it than necessarily vanilla, to be honest. Vanilla woods, so yes, expect some woods, but it's definitely a caramel woodiness. Just a beautiful vanilla fragrance that, specifically because it's kind of like caramelized and woody, reminds me very much of fall. This is a fragrance that was definitely not a love at first sniff for me. I had a little bit of trouble with the pear initially. I found that the pear had more of a earthy, hay-like tobacco-y quality to it, which I don't really get as much anymore. I still get it, but I like it now. But yeah, it definitely has, it's not a fresh pear sort of opening in this like a lot of other fragrances that feature pear, but it's mainly really all about that vanilla caramel. There's actually no woods in the note breakdown, which is interesting, but it definitely feels like caramelized woods, like ambery. Maybe it's the amber, you know, that gives that woody element to this fragrance. Or maybe it's that pear, that weird earthy woody quality from the pear. I don't know. For me, pear can smell a little bit boozy done in certain ways. For example, if you've ever had pear tea, I really don't like pear tea because it smells and tastes to me like basically like watered down hard liquor. I don't know, man. Pear has to be fresh for it to not take on that nuance for me. So this is not a fresh pear. It's a little bit more woody, earthy. And yeah, I don't know where exactly those woods come from in the notes because they're not listed as an actual note, but I definitely get like caramelized ambery woods in this. Vanilla Woods by the Seven Virtues. Beautiful fragrance for the fall. Definitely very cozy vibes, a little bit gourmand. And actually when I wear this, literally my son asks me like if I'm making caramel or something. So he very prominently gets the caramel note, and yeah, very prominent on the caramel. So if you like caramel, really delicious fragrance. This is Vanilla Woods by the Seven Virtues. Next up, we have another gourmand, warm, spicy fragrance, and this is by Pinrose. This is Gilded Fox. This is a fragrance that was sent to me a while back, and this is a beautiful, warm, spicy chocolate fragrance. You definitely get those gourmand touches in here. It definitely starts out very warm, spicy with that cardamom. It is a little bit boozy with the rum in the mid. There's also butter in there in the mid though, and it gets a little bit lactonic, creamy, and gourmand as it dries down. Just a very beautiful, cozy fragrance. It's also really nice to layer. I have layered this with Secret Genius, also by this brand, and it was amazing. Secret Genius is more of like a white chocolate caramel gourmand fragrance, a little bit more fluffy and powdery. Together, these are really beautiful, but alone, this is delicious and very appealing in the fall time. And again, I would say it's quite unisex, though this is Gilded Fox by Pinrose. And then last but not least, I don't have a full bottle of it here, but I did want to mention it because it's this just quintessential fall as well. This is Replicas by the Fireplace. And this is literally, as the name implies, smells like you're by a beautiful fireplace, maybe like an oak room with books in the shelves and this crackling fire that's just been burning for a while, and you have that beautiful burning wood smell, which smells a little bit sweet. This perfectly captures that essence. This is definitely a woody vanilla fragrance. Smoky a little bit, not too smoky as well, though I would say, even though it's called By the Fireplace and it definitely has that burning wood scent to it, it doesn't smell too smoky in my opinion. Definitely evokes fall. The wood in here is mainly Gaiac wood, which definitely feels like a hefty, I want to say juicy wood. It's a hefty wood. It just smells like really like a big hefty log fire in the fireplace. Super cozy. It has some chestnut in here as well, which gives it a bit of a gourmand nutty vibe to it as well. Like you're literally thinking of roasted chestnuts by the fireplace, right? Definitely beautiful fragrance, a little bit balsamic. It has some Peru balsam in here, and it still has, even though it is more on the powdery side, it all comes together with the vanilla and the Cashmere to smell quite smooth and creamy in the base as well. This also has a top note of cloves, which I am always a little bit iffy about. I definitely get the cloves in here, but they are not overpowering, and I definitely get more and mostly that Gaiac wood with the chestnut and the vanilla. So beautiful fragrance, specifically and especially for the fall time. This is By the Fireplace by Replica. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you are excited for fall. I hope you are as excited for fall fragrances as I am. Please let me know down below what your favorite fall fragrances are. And again, of course, what sort of fragrances evoke fall for you and what your favorite part about fall is. Let me know down below. Like this video if you like this topic. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm so excited to share some more fall content with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Till we see each other again, take care of yourself. I'll see you very soon. Bye.